Zohran Mamdani is one of the most compelling and influential young political figures emerging from New York today. As a New York State representative, he is known for his bold voice, progressive policies, and deep commitment to the communities he serves. Born in Kampala, Uganda, and raised in the United States, Zohran's life has been shaped by a unique mix of cultures, experiences, and influences. His family background exposed him to a global perspective from a young age. His father, a scholar and writer, instilled in him a love for learning and social awareness, while his mother, a filmmaker, taught him that storytelling could be a powerful tool for change. Growing up surrounded by conversations about justice, inequality, displacement, and identity helped him develop empathy, a strong sense of responsibility, and a desire to dedicate his life to uplifting others. As a child, Zohran did not see politics as a destination. He absorbed values from his environment, learning that maintaining silence in the face of injustice was equal to accepting it. In school, he was curious and opinionated, driven by a desire to understand why the world operated the way it did. He questioned economic inequality, discrimination, and societal imbalances. By the time he was a teenager, he already saw the effects of injustice in everyday life. Families struggling to pay rent, working parents juggling multiple jobs, and entire communities ignored by those in power. Rather than passively observing, Zohran internalized these experiences. They became the foundation on which he would later build his political identity. He understood early that real change does not begin in government offices. It begins in neighborhoods, in conversations, and in the collective effort of people who refuse to accept unfair systems. Zohran eventually moved to New York and became deeply attached to Astoria, a neighborhood in Queens known for its diversity, immigrant culture, and working-class families. Astoria is a community filled with people from all backgrounds: shopkeepers, taxi drivers, delivery workers, teachers, and artists. Their daily struggles reflect the reality of countless families who work hard but still face rising rents, job insecurity, and unaffordable living costs. Instead of distancing himself, Zohran immersed himself in their lives. He spent time in community centers, bodegas, religious spaces, parks, and housing complexes, learning firsthand about the challenges residents faced. Every conversation taught him something new. People were not asking for luxury or privilege. They were asking for fairness, stability, and dignity. Before entering politics, Zohran worked as a housing counselor, a role that changed the trajectory of his life. His job involved helping tenants fight eviction notices and navigate the complicated housing system. He sat with families who were close to losing their homes, listened to their fears, and fought to protect their right to stay. He witnessed countless painful moments. Children watching movers carry away their belongings, parents ashamed to admit they were falling behind on rent despite working 2 or 3 jobs, and elderly tenants being pressured by landlords who wanted to replace them with higher-paying renters. These experiences were emotionally heavy, yet they ignited something powerful inside Zohran. He realized that thousands of people lived one rent increase away from becoming homeless. He saw firsthand how housing was treated as a commodity, not a human need. That realization fueled his belief that the government should intervene, not to protect developers, but to protect families. Seeing the extent of housing injustice convinced Zohran to step directly into politics. He believed that the only way to create lasting change was to challenge the system from the inside. With little money and no political machine backing him, he launched a grassroots campaign to run for New York State Assembly. The odds were against him. He was challenging an established incumbent with name recognition and significant political connections. But Zohran had something far more powerful: the support of the community. His campaign was built on knocking on doors, talking to neighbors, organizing volunteers, and earning every vote through trust. He refused to accept donations from corporations or wealthy interest groups, making it clear that he would only be accountable to the people. Volunteers from all ages and backgrounds joined his movement. During his campaign, it was common to see young people canvassing door to door, parents talking to neighbors, and residents spending evenings phone banking. For Zohran, this was not just a campaign. It was a movement. In 2020, history was made. Zohran Mamdani won the election and became the New York State representative for District 36. His victory was not just political. It symbolized a generational shift. People realized that change was possible. They saw that the power of community organizing could defeat political power structures that seemed impossible to challenge. Zohran stepped into office with a clear mission to bring the voice of the working class into the legislative process. From his first day in office, he refused to compromise on the values that brought him into politics. He continued meeting with constituents regularly and stayed visible and accessible, the exact opposite of the stereotypical politician who disappears after election day. Once in office, Zohran focused on the issues he saw firsthand as a housing counselor. Housing justice became one of the central pillars of his legislative work. He fought for rent reforms aimed at stopping exploitative practices from landlords and developers. One of his priorities was to support legislation that would make it harder for landlords to evict tenants unfairly. He argued that housing should not be treated like a business investment. It should be viewed as a basic human right. He pushed for stronger tenant protections and supported bills to regulate rent increases. Advocating for housing justice was not easy. Real estate is one of the most powerful and well-funded industries in New York. But Zohran did not back down. His position inspired many tenants across the state to organize and fight for their rights. Alongside housing reform, Zohran also became a strong advocate for public transit. He believed that transportation influences every part of a person's life, their job opportunities, their education, their income, and even their quality of life. Zohran pushed for better funding for subways and buses, fair affordability, and improved transit infrastructure. He advocated for expanding public transportation options, not reducing them, because doing so would support working families who depend on public transit. For Zohran, public transit is not just about getting on a bus or subway. It is about making sure people have access to opportunities without financial barriers. His strong emphasis on public transit earned him recognition as one of the most transit-focused legislators in New York. Zohran's approach to politics is deeply people-centered. Rather than spending his days in offices disconnected from constituents, he returns to the streets, the same place where his political journey started. He attends rallies, joins protests, visits small businesses, listens to residents' stories, and asks what they need from their representative. He is known for showing up, not just for photo opportunities, but to speak, to support, and to stand in solidarity. Residents admire him for his humility and accessibility. Even after becoming an elected official, Zohran continues to knock on doors, ensuring that he remains connected to the community. What makes Zohran unique is not just his policy ideas. It is the authenticity behind them. He does not speak for communities. He speaks with them. He does not claim to be the hero of their story. He believes they are the heroes of their own. He understands that leadership means serving others, not seeking power. In interviews and public appearances, Zohran reminds people that change comes from movements, not individuals. He credits victories to volunteers, neighbors, and activists, showing that humility can be a powerful political force. Zohran Mamdani is also an inspiration to young people, especially immigrants and marginalized communities. His journey shows that representation matters. It shows that politics is not exclusive to the wealthy or the connected. It is open to anyone with passion, integrity, and a willingness to fight. In a time where many young people feel disconnected from politics, Zohran proves that one person can make a difference by being honest, hardworking, and fearless. His story motivates others to participate in public service, volunteer in campaigns, and believe in collective power. Zohran's influence goes beyond policy. He represents hope, the hope that politics can be honest, human, and community-driven. His story teaches that real leadership is not about speeches or power. It is about showing up for people when they need you the most. Whether he is challenging billion-dollar real estate developers or advocating for better subway service, Zohran stays grounded in the principle that public office is not a position of privilege. It is a responsibility. Zohran Mamdani continues to serve his district with passion, courage, and dedication. He has proven that leadership rooted in empathy and action can make an impact far beyond a single district. His rise represents a new era of politics where ordinary people are no longer ignored, where community voices matter, and where justice can be pursued through collective action. His journey is still unfolding, and with every step, he inspires countless others to believe that change is possible, not just in New York, but everywhere.